September 7th, 1996, Las Vegas, Nevada. It's just after midnight. A black BMW is stopped at a red light on Flamingo Road. In the passenger seat, one of the most famous men on the planet. 25 years old, at the peak of his career. His music had sold over 75 million records. His face was on billboards across America. His voice had defined a generation. A white Cadillac pulls up beside the BMW. A hand reaches out of the back window and fires. 4 bullets hit Tupac Shakur. 6 days later, he was dead. And for the next 27 years, nobody was charged. Nobody went to prison. The case went cold. Until 2023, when everything changed. This is the story of who killed Tupac Shakur and why it took the world 27 years to find out. To understand what happened on the night of September 7th, 1996, you need to go back just a few hours earlier. Tupac was in Las Vegas for one reason: to watch his friend Mike Tyson fight. It was one of the most anticipated boxing matches of the year. The MGM Grand, 14,000 people, the entire hip-hop world in one arena. Tupac was ringside with his label boss, Suge Knight, the founder of Death Row Records. Death Row was the most powerful rap label in America at the time, and Suge Knight was not a man you wanted to cross. Tyson won the fight in 3 rounds. The crowd exploded. And then, in the lobby of the MGM Grand, something happened that would set the night's deadly course. Tupac spotted a man named Orlando Anderson. Anderson was a member of the Southside Crips gang from Compton, California. Weeks earlier, members of that same gang had robbed one of Death Row's employees. Tupac recognized him immediately, and without hesitation, he attacked him. Suge Knight's entourage joined in. Security cameras captured the whole thing. A brawl in the lobby of one of the most famous hotels in Las Vegas. Within hours, Orlando Anderson would have his revenge. Before we go any further, I want to tell you who Tupac Shakur actually was, because his story isn't just a crime story. It's the story of a generation. Tupac Amaru Shakur was born on June 16, 1971, in East Harlem, New York City. His mother, Afeni Shakur, was a member of the Black Panther Party. She was facing 156 charges of conspiracy when Tupac was born, and she defended herself in court, pregnant, and won. Tupac grew up in poverty, moving from city to city, never staying in one place long enough to call it home. But he had something that couldn't be taught: a voice, a presence, a way of making people feel seen. By the time he was 21, he was one of the biggest names in hip-hop. His albums, Me Against the World, All Eyes on Me, weren't just music. They were conversations about race, poverty, violence, and survival. But Tupac's life was never far from danger. In 1994, just 2 years before his death, he was shot 5 times in the lobby of a New York recording studio. He survived. He pointed the finger at a rival rapper, and the conflict that would eventually kill him began. To understand Tupac's murder, you have to understand the East Coast-West Coast War. On one side, Death Row Records, Los Angeles, Suge Knight, Tupac. On the other side, Bad Boy Records, New York, Sean Combs, the notorious B.I.G. What started as a rivalry between rappers became something far more dangerous. Shots fired at concerts, threats in songs, violence at awards shows. 2 of the most powerful men in the music industry openly at war. Tupac believed that Sean Combs and Biggie had been involved in his 1994 shooting. He said it in interviews, he said it in his music, and he said it to anyone who would listen. The tension had been building for 2 years by the time they all arrived in Las Vegas on September 7, 1996. And in the lobby of the MGM Grand that night, when Tupac attacked Orlando Anderson, he had no idea that Anderson had connections to the other side of that war. He had no idea that the man he punched in that lobby would be the last person to fire a gun at him. After the fight at the MGM Grand, Tupac and Suge Knight left in a convoy of cars. They were heading to a nightclub called Club 662, a venue that Suge Knight owned. It should have been a celebration night. Tyson had won. The lobby fight had been quick. Everyone was in good spirits. At around 11:15 p.m., the convoy stopped at a red light on Flamingo Road. Tupac was in the passenger seat of Suge Knight's black BMW. He had the window down. The night was warm. Las Vegas lights everywhere. A white Cadillac pulled up on the right side. Nobody in the convoy noticed it at first. Then, the back window of the Cadillac rolled down, and a hand appeared, holding a gun. 12 shots were fired into the BMW. 4 of them hit Tupac, 1 in the chest, 1 in the arm, 2 in the pelvis. Suge Knight was grazed by a bullet fragment in the head, but survived. Tupac was conscious when paramedics arrived. He was fighting. He was rushed to the University Medical Center of Southern Nevada. He underwent emergency surgery, and for 6 days, the world held its breath. On September 13, 1996, Tupac Shakur was taken off life support. He was 25 years old. The white Cadillac was never found. The shooter was never identified. And for the next 27 years, nobody was charged with anything. The investigation into Tupac's murder was, to put it plainly, a disaster. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department handled the case. But from the very beginning, they faced a problem. Nobody was talking. The hip-hop world had its own code. You didn't go to the police. Suge Knight, who was in the car, refused to cooperate with investigators. He told police he hadn't seen the shooter. He told them he didn't know who did it. And he stuck to that story for decades. The white Cadillac was traced to a Las Vegas rental agency, but by the time police got there, it had been cleaned. No fingerprints, no DNA, no usable evidence. Investigators quickly focused on Orlando Anderson, the man Tupac had attacked at the MGM Grand just hours before the shooting. Anderson denied involvement. He was never charged. He was killed in an unrelated gang shooting 2 years later in 1998. The case went cold. Years passed, then decades. New detectives picked it up, put it back down. Books were written, documentaries were made. Conspiracy theories spread across the internet. Some blamed Sean Combs. Some blamed the government. Some said Tupac wasn't even dead. But the truth, the real truth, was sitting in plain sight the entire time, in a book, written by the man who did it. His name is Duane Keith Davis, but on the streets of Compton, California, everyone knows him as Keffe D. Keffe D was a high-ranking member of the Southside Crips. He was Orlando Anderson's uncle, and on the night of September 7, 1996, he was in the back seat of that white Cadillac. For years, Keffe D stayed quiet, but in 2011, he gave an interview to a documentary filmmaker, and in that interview, he described, in detail, what happened that night. He said he was in the car. He admitted his crew fired the shots. He named Orlando Anderson as the shooter. He described the gun. He described the vehicle. He described the route they took. And then, in 2019, he went further. He published a memoir called Compton Street Legend. In that book, he described the events of that night in even more explicit detail. He also made a stunning claim. He said that Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, had offered money to anyone who would attack Tupac or Suge Knight that night. He said he was offered $1 million. Sean Combs has denied this. He has never been charged with anything related to Tupac's death. But here is the question that prosecutors eventually asked. If this man had been describing his role in a murder, publicly, in interviews, in a book, for over a decade, why had nobody arrested him? In September 2023, 27 years after Tupac's murder, Duane Keffe D. Davis was arrested at his home in Henderson, Nevada. He was 60 years old. He had been living quietly, working as an inspector for oil refineries, married, settled, a cancer survivor. Police obtained a search warrant and raided his home at night. They collected his electronic devices, photographs, and other evidence. Davis was charged with open murder with use of a deadly weapon, with a gang enhancement. He pleaded not guilty. He has been held at the Clark County Detention Center ever since. His defense team argued that his confessions were false. They said he made the stories up to sell books and get attention. They argued the nighttime search of his home was unlawful. They filed motion after motion trying to have the charges dismissed. All of them were denied. The trial has been delayed multiple times, originally set for March 2025, then February 2026, then August 10, 2026. As of today, Duane Keffe D. Davis is still awaiting trial, still held in a Las Vegas detention center, still pleading not guilty to the murder of Tupac Shakur. He is the only person ever charged in connection with Tupac's death. Orlando Anderson, the alleged shooter, died in 1998. Suge Knight is in prison on an unrelated murder charge, and the full truth of what happened on Flamingo Road that September night may not be known until the trial finally begins. Tupac Shakur would have turned 55 years old this year. In 27 years, the world has changed beyond recognition. But the question that has haunted hip-hop since 1996 is finally being answered. Was it gang retaliation for a lobby fight? Was it ordered by someone with more power and more money? And will a Las Vegas courtroom in the summer of 2026 finally deliver the verdict that millions of people have been waiting nearly 3 decades for? I'll be covering the trial of Duane Keffe D. Davis on this channel. Every development, every piece of evidence, every twist. Subscribe to Dark Verdict so you don't miss it. Because after 27 years of silence, the truth is finally being told. I'll see you in the next one.